I knew it was gonna happen. Like, I just knew it was gonna happen. She's okay. Hello everybody and welcome back to my booktube channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. First of all, the lighting's looking a little funky. The thing is, it's 9 in the morning, but it's raining very heavily outside, so it's basically just like dark. But we're working with it because it is June 30th, so I do need to film this. So, I read 8 books in the month of June. This wrap-up is kind of gonna be something different for me to put out because I read only 2 authors in the entirety of this month. And one of them I only read 1 book from, so that means I read 7 books from 1 author this month because I can't control myself, and I read the first series I'm going to talk about and then I was like, wow, I need more. So I did read more. So yeah, we're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna start with the 1 book that is not by the main author of this wrap-up, and that is actually the first classic that I've read like at all this year, and that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I also picked up this atrocious copy of it from Half Price Books. It was only like $3 and it was the only one they had, so I was like, okay, whatever. But now I'm kind of regretting it because it's kind of really ugly. Like, I kind of want to get a new one, but I annotated this one, so I'm like, I could transfer the annotations, but like, that sounds like a lot of work and kind of stupid, so probably won't. Did not rate this because frankly, I don't know how to rate classics. I like kind of enjoyed it, but like also the writing is kind of hard to read sometimes because this book came out in like 1890, so it's a little more old English type of classical writing, you know, and I'm kind of stupid sometimes, so it took me a while to get through. So that kind of diminished my enjoyment, but it's not necessarily the book's fault that it took me a while to like get through the writing. I think this one is a lot easier to get through than some of the other classics that I've attempted to read, but still, it took me a minute. I think it took me like 2 weeks to read a 200-page book. I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. Overall, the plot was interesting, and I thought the ending of this book was interesting. Like, I feel like I should have seen it coming, but I did not. So, you know, it's kind of something surprising. I was like, oh, what? Dorian Gray was kind of an annoying prick, and so was Lord Henry, Lord Harry, whatever the hell his name was. I didn't like him either. He clearly did not like women. And like, as a book written like the 1890s, I knew there's gonna be some women hating in here, but there was a lot of it. All of these orange tabs are basically him just hating on women. Let me find a good one here. My dear boy, no woman is a genius. Women are the decorative sex. They never have anything to say, but they say it charmingly. Women represent the triumph of matter over mind, just as men represent the triumph of mind over morals. And I was just like, what the hell? I'm just sitting here enjoying myself and I get attacked. And like, I don't think that Oscar Wilde necessarily thought these things. And like, it's just the characters saying I guess I don't know if he really thought these things or not, but like, it's probably just the characters saying these things, but at the same time, I'm like, what the fuck? I don't appreciate. And honestly, a lot of it was just them talking about how attractive Dorian is. And I was like, look, I'm sure this man is fine as hell, but like, I don't need to hear about it every other page, okay? So yeah, no actual like coherent thoughts about this book, just me hating men. Moving on. Is this embarrassing or is it like kind of funny? I don't know. But I read, what is this? 2.5 series by Cassandra Clare this month because I read The Mortal Instruments last month and I wasn't the biggest fan, but I just had a really good feeling that I was really gonna like the Infernal Devices, and I did. Love the series. We'll talk about it in a second. And then after I finished it, I was so sad and I was just like empty inside. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do now? As soon as I finished the series, I reread the first 2 books. I liked it that much. And then, so if that gives you any indication, I decided to, okay, this is a lot of me rambling. I'm just gonna get in and it'll kind of like explain itself as we go. First up, this month, the first thing I read this month was The Infernal Devices. I annotated it and it's so satisfying to look at, but also a little insane. Yeah, did not hold back. In the beginning, like in the first couple pages, I was a little hesitant because the writing is a little more what you'd expect from the 1880s, 70s. It's not hard to read, that's not what I'm saying, but like it was just like a little bit different, you know? So it took me a second. Honestly, after like the second chapter, I was like, okay, let's go. I love it so much. Hesitant at first, but obviously now it's a new favorite. I think it's my favorite series I've ever read. I think that title probably used to go to Harry Potter, maybe. Debatable really at this point. She has triumphed over all. The whole premise of this series, I guess I should maybe start with that. So you have Tessa Gray, and she lived in America, and then she got a letter from her brother, who is currently living in England. He's like, hey, you should come over and live with me. So she did. So when she stepped off the boat into London, these two old women approached her. We're like, oh, we're with your brother, we're gonna like take you to him. Obviously they did not take her to him, and she found out she was a warlock and she could like shapeshift. So then she was stuck in this brothel for a very long time, learning to like hone her magical abilities. Not so much learning, more so being forced to learn to hone her magical abilities so she could essentially be a weapon for this dude named the Magister. But I'm not gonna go too much into that. I'm just gonna tell you like the very beginning of this book, because a couple chapters in, she hears some rustling. The door to her bedroom is jiggling. It opens. There's this very attractive man who is basically wanting to save her, and then she hits him with a jug. She goes to the London Institute with him, which is where a group of shadowhunters who live in London resides. So she meets all of them. She meets my favorite man ever, Jem Carstairs, and it just goes from there. Like, a lot of things happen. This is the only series where I've ever seen a love triangle like work. This one, however, beautiful, because I just love both couples so much. Oh my god, I don't even know how to describe how much I love this series. I've never read a book series that I was like so broken up over, so invested in. So yes, it's gonna be a really rambly video because it's just me not knowing how to organize my thoughts into coherent sentences when I'm this passionate over something. So yeah, the Infernal Devices. So after I read the Infernal Devices, I was like, damn, I miss these characters already. Even though I've read some of these books twice now, I still needed more. So I decided to start the Last Hours series. There's only 2 books out in the series. There's Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron. Chain of Thorns, there's not a release date for it yet, but I think she confirmed it's gonna come out in 2022, so thank God. I could not wait another year for the last book in the series, because who would have guessed it, I loved it. No, I'll hold it this way. Because who would have guessed it, I love this series as well. Potentially more, maybe like, it's almost there. I have to wait for the last book to come out, but this might be giving the Infernal Devices a run for its money. Who knows, honestly. These characters are just something else, and it's probably because these are her latest books and she's obviously like grown as a writer and she can write characters even better than she already was writing them in the Infernal Devices, and I just love all these characters so much. First we have Chain of Gold. Yes, that's what you are. This book was so good. What's the premise of this book? Right, these books, I'm so bad at this. These books follow the children of all of the couples. Yeah, that's right. There's like 4 couples that get together in the Infernal Devices. And the Last Hour series follows all of their children. So that was just like everything I needed. Once I finished the Infernal Devices, I was like, I'm sad. How do I like stop being sad? And I was like, oh, more Infernal Devices content in the sequel series. I don't know, just like everything in this series is just, words, what are words? I don't know. I don't have any. Yes. There we go. I think I liked Chain of Gold more than I liked Chain of Iron, just because Chain of Iron kind of hurt me in many ways. Like the ending of the book, I was just like, oh, so this is how it's gonna go. I don't appreciate it. But Chain of Gold, the ending of Chain of Gold was just hopeful, and I knew the next book was gonna slap, and it did. One of my favorite Cassandra Clare books, and I've read a lot now, so I feel like I can say that, and it like means something. I love all of the relationships that are developing. and then breaking, and then developing some more, and then breaking again, and then developing some more. What is like I don't know. The plot of this book is honestly not that important to me. Like, I really don't care too much about the plot. I just love all the character work and all the character development and just all the character relationships and the characters themselves. How many times can I say characters in one sentence? I don't know, but I love them. Both of these got a 5 out of 5 stars, and I also did not say it, but all 3 books in the Infernal Devices got a 5 out of 5 stars. From me. I think this is just me not reading YA fantasy when I was like actually 18. I've just missed out over the years, and I've read like this first like big expansive series, and I'm like, yes, this is everything I ever needed. Honestly, 16-year-old Katie, if she did read, she would have loved these. Like, I just know it, and I'm sad for her that she didn't read these. But I read them now, so it's all good. Sorry, I'm just really excited to talk about these, and thoughts are evading me, as they do normally. But anyway, next I decided to start, naturally, the Dark Artifices, and I read 2 books in this one. I'm currently a 5th, maybe, of the way through the Queen of Air and Darkness. That is a big ass book, so it's gonna take me a minute to get through it, but I have finished the first 2 books in the Dark Artifices. First we have Lady Midnight. I think I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and then we have Lord of Shadows, which I also gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The ending of this book it was too much for me. I finished it a couple days ago, and I knew it was gonna happen because I keep spoiling myself for things that are happening in this series. I've spoiled myself for a lot of what happened in these first 2 books, but it was still sad. And even when it like things happen that I know they're gonna happen, I'm like, oh, no way. But I don't really know how the Queen of Air and Darkness ends, so there's something new. If I can keep my ass off the internet, it'll be a surprise for me. It's honestly amazing to me how interconnected all of Cassandra Clare's series are. It's just insane. Like, a lot of what happens in one of the side plots in Chain of Gold is like relevant to what is like the main plot throughout these 3 books, and I was just like, oh, I know her. Also, don't trust that bitch, you know? Not super into the plot. Like, it's fine, like, it's interesting. I'm not mad about the plot, but it's just the characters are my favorite thing of any Cassandra Clare book. Just characters I think are her strong suit. Obviously, like, everyone loves Cassandra Clare characters so much, rightfully so. In these books, who's my favorite? Emma or Mark? I love Mark. I think he's definitely my favorite, but I love Emma as well because she's just so sassy, I guess would maybe be the best way to describe her. I forgot to talk about the romances in all of these books. I love the angsty romances that are happening in all of Cassandra Clare's books because damn it, she cannot let these characters live. Like, they just can't. So many things want to keep them apart, and I think this one's the worst. It's probably the most high stakes kind of forbidden romance type deal. So if you're into forbidden romances, might I recommend the Dark Artifices. You do probably need to read the Mortal Instruments first, but have fun. Was not my favorite. It did get me to this point, and I really do like these books. So, gosh, no, I don't think there were any coherent thoughts in the entirety of that wrap-up. But I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Also, I was going to make a note. If you have not read Cassandra Clare books, I'm going to let you know right now the order in which I strongly recommend you read them if you want to get started with it. I made the mistake of reading all 6 of the Mortal Instruments books before I read the Infernal Devices. And while I think you should read some of the Mortal Instruments before you read the Infernal Devices just to get like a feel for the magic system and then you can like truly enjoy these books without being confused, I think I did it wrong still. In my opinion, you should read the first 3 Mortal Instruments books and then read these and then go back and read the last 3 Mortal Instruments books, because the last book in the Mortal Instruments series, City of Heavenly Fire, it heavily insinuates a spoiler for what happens to one of the characters at the end of Clockwork Princess. And it was like a big thing that happened, and I was like, oh, I know where this is going, because I've already like seen where it went. Don't be like me. It's not like a huge deal, but still, I was like, you know, I'm not too hell-bent on not having spoilers for a series, but I would still rather not have known this. It was like a huge plot point for one of my favorite characters, and I like already knew what happened to them, so I was like, oh, this has less of an impact on me. So if you want maximum feelings at the end of Clockwork Princess, just do what I said. The rest of them, I think you can read. If you don't want to read the Mortal Instruments at all, I don't really think you have to unless you want to read the Dark Artifices. But if you don't care about either of the modern series and you just want to read like the Victorian and Edwardian setting type deal, you should read the Infernal Devices and then The Last Hours. So yeah, there's my rant on reading order for Cassandra Clare. You could literally just Google it, but I'm gonna tell it to you right now. So yeah. I'm done talking now. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was very rambly. I need to get better at filming wrap-ups and organizing my thoughts ahead of time, but most of the time I'm just like, ooh, let's go. I haven't thought about this at all. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know down below. What was your favorite book you read this month? We can talk about it, maybe, if you want to. If you don't want to, that's cool too. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And I will see you in my next video.